Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to dig into a topic that seems like it's everywhere these days, data analytics.
Definitely a hot one.
And judging by what you sent our way, it seems like you're more than just curious. Career guides from RoleCatcher, interview tips, even a peek at their platform. You're going deep on this one.
Sounds like you're picking up what a lot of people are noticing, this career path. It's got it going on. High demand, the pay's good, and it's not exactly a snooze fest for your brain cells either.
You got that right. But let's be honest, buzzwords only get you so far. We want to know what's really going on behind the scenes. What does a data analyst actually do? Because, and maybe it's just me, but I'm picturing spreadsheets and then even more
Oh,
spreadsheets.
yeah, that's a pretty common picture people get, but it's not quite the full picture. Think of it more like this. A data analyst, they're a storyteller, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of ink, they're words of data. They're digging through all those numbers, but not because they love spreadsheets, but because they're looking for those hidden stories.
Okay, I like that.
So maybe sales are going through the roof in one specific place. Or maybe there's this link, right, between how many people are checking out a website and how well a marketing campaign is doing. A good data analyst, they find those stories, those connections, and then they turn them into something everyone can understand.
So it's less about being a human calculator and more about finding the meaning behind all those numbers.
Exactly. It's about making the data work for you, help you make those decisions that really count.
Now that makes a lot more sense. Actually, the role catcher guide had this really cool example. I guess there was this data analyst who used that whole storytelling thing to convince the higher ups to completely redo their marketing strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it totally worked. Customer engagement went way up.
See, that's the power of data when it's used, right?
It's like detective work, but with ones and zeros instead of fingerprints, right?
You got it. And every good detective needs their tools. For a data analyst, think Python and R, the magnifying glass, the dusting for prints, essential for really getting into those big data sets.
So these are the must-haves, the go-to tools of the trade.
You could say that. Now, Python, it's like your multi-tool, does a bit of everything, automation, things like web scraping. Then you got R, which is like your specialist, the one you want when it's all about the stats and making those visuals pop.
Got it. So not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to the skills.
Not a chance. Don't forget SQL either.
Yeah.
That one's your key to unlock those massive databases. Imagine trying to find like one specific grain of rice in a whole mountain of them. SQL, it's your sieve, filters out all the noise and gets you exactly what you need.
So we've got the tools, the tech side of things. But I noticed the guide puts a lot of emphasis on those other skills, the soft skills,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Can't forget those.
Communication, problem solving, that kind of stuff. It's like they're saying you can be the best coder in the world, but if you can't explain what you found to someone who doesn't speak the language,
It's like you're speaking a different language. Exactly.
those insights, they're not going to get very far.
It's true. And it's something a lot of people don't realize, especially now that more and more companies are bringing in those applicant tracking systems.
The AI gatekeepers.
Yep, filtering out applications based on keywords, skills, the whole shebang.
So not only do you need to know how to talk the talk, you need to know how to talk to algorithms too.
That's the game these days. Got to speak their language if you want to get noticed.
No pressure, right?
It's a whole new ball game out there, that's for sure. But hey, that's why it's good to know how these systems work, right? Gives you an edge. And it's not about tricking the AI or anything. It's just about, speaking its language.
Which is where RoleCatcher comes in, right?
Yeah.
With their own AI-powered tools.
Bingo. Imagine having this tool that takes those job descriptions, breaks them down, and tells you exactly what words to use, how to tweak your experience so you're speaking directly to those algorithms.
Okay, now that would be handy. But hold on, let's rewind a bit. Before you even get to applying, you got to have the skills. The guide goes into different paths for education. What are we looking at there?
Well, it's not so much a straight line as it is like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books.
Oh, I love those.
Right. So, yeah, a good old-fashioned degree that's a classic for a reason. Computer science, statistics, those are usually good bets. But the guide makes a point of saying that those certifications, they're becoming more and more important, especially if you didn't go the traditional route.
So it's not just about having the degree, it's about proving you can actually walk the walk, right?
100%. Think of them like badges you earn in the data world. They show you've got the goods, you know the stuff, Microsoft certified. Data Analyst Associate, the Google one, the Data Analytics Professional Certificate, Tableau Desktop Specialist. Even those were just a few the guide mentioned.
Okay, so those can really make your resume stand out.
Oh, yeah. It shows you're serious.
So we've got degrees, certifications, but I gotta imagine In a field like data analysis, nothing beats real-world experience.
You're singing my tune. The guide, it really hammers home how important that hands-on stuff is. Internships, personal projects, even if you're just messing around, figuring stuff out, it all adds up. Contributing to those open source projects. Gold. And here's a curveball. They actually say you should put together a portfolio.
Wait, a portfolio, like with graphs and charts instead of
You
paintings.
got it. It's like your highlight reel,
Right.
right? But instead of just saying, I'm good at this, you're showing them. Did you analyze some data and find a way to boost sales? Did you make some cool visuals that help with marketing strategies?
It's like telling someone you're a good cook versus like whipping up a five-star meal right in front of them.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
Speaking of showing what you can do, let's talk about how you actually find those jobs. Because in this market, you got to do more than just send out a bunch of applications and hope for the best.
Yeah, you got to get noticed. It's like they say, got to stand out from the data crowd. So how does RoleCatcher help with that? What's their trick for making sure those applications don't just disappear into the void?
Well, it seems like they figured out how to make things, well, less of a headache. It's not just about finding jobs, it's about organizing that whole process, your command center for job hunting.
I like it.
So you can keep track of which companies you're interested in, which jobs you want, when all those deadlines are end. You can even use it to analyze those job descriptions and find those keywords we were talking about.
So it's like having a personal assistant whose only job is to help you get hired.
Pretty much. But here's the best part. They even help you prep for interviews. They've got this huge database, something like 120,000 interview questions.
Oh.
Yeah. And they're not just random questions either. They're organized by career, by skill. It's like targeted practice to get you ready for the real deal.
Okay, that's impressive. But what about those curveball questions? The ones they throw at you out of nowhere, the ones you couldn't have prepared for even if you tried.
Well, they've got you covered there, too. They actually have AI-powered feedback on your interview answers.
Wait, really?
Yeah. You can record yourself answering practice questions, and then you get personalized feedback on, like, how you're coming across, how clear you are, even your body language.
It's like having a virtual coach in your back pocket.
Exactly. It's pretty cool.
It really is. It sounds like RoleCatcher's got your back through every step of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But let's say you nail the interview, land the job, what's next? Is it smooth sailing from there, or is there more to it?
That's the thing about data, right? Never a dull moment. And to their credit, RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat that at all. Remember we were talking about how technology is always changing?
Yeah, I gotta keep up.
Exactly. If you want to make it as a data analyst, you got to be ready to keep learning.
So how do you do that? How do you stay ahead of the game?
The guide really stressed staying connected to the community, going to those industry conferences, checking out online forums, maybe even listening to a podcast or two.
Hey, why not?
Right. The point is immerse yourself. That's how you keep up with the latest trends, the new tools, all that good stuff.
And probably a good idea to keep those certifications fresh too, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about getting the job. It's about showing that you're serious about staying at the top of your game. This field, it's always moving, and you got to move with it.
Like they say, the only constant is change.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that actually leads me to something I want you to think about. As you're exploring all this data stuff, with all this talk about AI, about automation, where do you see the role of the data analyst going in the future?
Ooh, good question.
I think AI is going to replace human analysts.
Eh.
Or with all this data everywhere, are they going to be even more important? Someone's got to make sense of it all, tell those stories.
Now that is something to ponder. It's like that saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Except in this case, that same involves a whole lot of data.
And maybe a little AI sprinkled in for good measure.
Definitely. Well, on that note, why don't we leave everyone to explore those RoleCatcher resources for themselves?
Sounds like a plan.
Whether you're just dipping your toes into the data pool or you're already swimming laps, there's bound to be something in there to spark your curiosity and get you thinking.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of data analytics. We'll see you next time for another exciting adventure. Until then, happy analyzing.